Tuesdays can be worse than Monday. Oh, it is Monday. Now everything makes sense. Hey, it's Monday. Give me a break, man.
Down below me, the ground things pound their feet. Down there on the street, things without feet. Like me, and see me, oh what I see. Things that amaze me. Fills my dreams when I sleep. A penguin that can fly. A penguin that can fly. A penguin that can fly. That's why you will find me up there with the birds that have wings. Up there I can see things not seen by ground things. Up there in the sky, there's penguins flying high, always loving life, wondering how the ground things ever survive, never seeing life. Down below me, the ground things scurry by, pound among the birds, flying wild and free, seeing things that no one else can see, high above, away from the debris. Down below, the ground things scurry by, pounding their feet while I touch the sky, sliding, gliding, without a care. They'll never know the wonders up here in the sky. I'm a penguin flying high, living life with no questions why. I wonder how the ground things carry on, never experiencing the beauty I thought. Can fly.
They are quite graceful in the water, aren't they? Hello, my name's Urzus Zyklin, and welcome to my channel. How's everybody doing today? Man almighty, this has been a bad Monday so far. Normally I'm up by like 3 or 4 in the morning, and I have plenty of time to do everything I need, but unfortunately today I woke up at 9 o'clock in the morning, which is, for me, it's just unbelievable that I would have an extra 5 hours sleep. I don't know what happened to cause the extra 5 hours sleep, but I woke up and, started off my show and got dishes done, emptied dishwasher, and then remembered, oh yeah, I gotta start a show at 11, so I had a few more things to do in between there, and decided I'd let my guest that I invited up know that I was going to be 30 minutes late or so. Speaking of my guests, hello, Insane Lane. I don't have a song for you yet.
Hello, everyone.
I do have a Dr. Nimrod song, though. Have you ever heard the Dr. Nimrod song?
I don't think so.
Here, let's play the Dr. Nimrod song. I mean, he's abandoned me lately, but whatever. we can play a song for him.
For he is a bearded weirdo that has a doctorate in bacon. For everything to do with pork, this man forever knows.
including that might be chip bacon with potato. He makes for a great friend to have his words often wise. Wherever stupid shows his head, there you might find the Dr. Nimrod with his head in his hand, mouth ajar. For sometimes he imparts his knowledge on a wandering penguin, and for this we think that he's great, or at least a good friend. Dr. Nimrod. Oh, Dr. Nimrod. Forever won't you be our friend? Just don't eat all the bacon.
Teens do have a black hole for a stomach.
Dr. Nimrod. Oh, forever won't you be our friend? Just don't eat all the bacon.
You do know that Shiz has something to say about your medical problem.
Chris, that thing you call a chip.
Stop sharing your fucking medical maladies in public places on the internet. Because
For he's a bearded weirdo.
I'm just giving
Teabags,
Dr.
don't you
Nimrod
know? He will send them from Ireland and make great jokes, but it is all in fun, just so that you know.
I think I remember seeing him say something about not being upset if the
don't you know?
Shiz buttons
He will
broke.
send them from Ireland and make great jokes, but it is all in fun, just so that you know. For he's a bearded weirdo that has a doctorate in bacon, for everything to do with pork. This man forever knows, including that might be chip bacon with potato. He makes for a great friend to have his words often wise. Wherever stupid shows its head, there you might find the Dr. Nimrod with his head in his hand and mouth ajar.
Oh, you gotta open this door. Kinda warm in here. Yeah, I don't have central AC. I just have the one end of the house AC, so it gets a little warm in here.
I don't have any AC.
So, you sent a video on my Discord, and I guess we kind of got a little bit of our locations confused. You thought it was Ironton, Ohio, and
I didn't know there was more than one Ironton. I should have, because it's America and y'all reuse place names about 50,000 times, but
neither did I, and I should have also thought about how many different Irontons we have. And when I heard the guy say Ironton, and after you said it was Ironton, I didn't even bother to look at the cop cars to see where the place was. It's clearly marked on the side of the cop car, big Wisconsin state shape on the tail, and it says, what is it? Soak, I think it is Wisconsin, Soak County.
maybe.
Yeah. But, so, did you have any intentions when you originally posted this? I mean, as far as, like, were you thinking that it was going to be a... So do you have a negative reaction or a positive reaction to the incidences that are about to happen? I'm just wondering.
I'm honestly trying to remember because I have very bad short-term memory. I think I just mostly found it entertaining. I did have I think I had a couple of questions about, like, procedure-wise, a couple things.
That's great, because I'm pretty sure I have probably the answers. Pretty sure I have probably the answers. Anyway, I probably have the answers that you're looking for in this. And yeah, I thought it was absolutely entertaining. That's why I immediately was like, oh yeah, we're grabbing this, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, especially when the guy rolls up and he's insanely hot. Yeah. That's what I was like. Okay, there's like a few things to dissect here.
Anyway, so we'll go through this and see how it goes. Now, why I was asking is I was going to mention to you, I forgot, that I have a couple of videos that you reacted to that I kind of have a completely different take on, if you can imagine.
That's perfectly fine.
And I was wondering maybe if on a later date, if I poked you and asked you to come up and we go over those together and, maybe discuss our differences of opinion on the video.
We can definitely do that.
That I think would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Oh, I cut out the garbage talking in the beginning. I was going to cut out the garbage talking in the end, but the garbage talking at the end gives us all of the information of the citations. And there's a spot in the middle I just didn't, sorry, wasn't paying enough attention to realize there's a small spot in the middle where there's a piece of commentary. But I do try to remove most of the other content creators' commentary so that I fit within, so that all commentary is my commentary. And seeing that this is a public information, the police video itself, I try to keep myself well within fair use.
Right.
On Ellenwood off of Main, the heavy truck plate, Henry David.
Now I already have an issue here, and I'll tell you what the issue with the truck is. The truck looks to be a Chevy Z71 SUV. The Chevy Z71 SUV of that year, it depended on how you had it loaded out, was anywhere from 6,000 to 7,600 pounds or something like that. In Wisconsin, the heavy truck tag is for an 8,000 pound vehicle.
Okay, I was wondering what that meant, like heavy truck, because I'm like, isn't it just a pickup? It's not an 18-wheeler, like.
It would be for like an 18-wheeler or farm equipment or farm truck that is heavier than the standard Suburban. So like if you had a Suburban that had, excuse me, like if you had a Suburban that had a milk truck on the back of it, the work truck with all the toolboxes and stuff.
Yeah.
If you had that all hooked up on it full of tools, and that would be over that 8,000 pounds. So you would then have to have a heavy truck. But this doesn't have any of that. This is just a junky old Suburban. Or Suburban. Z71. I don't know if that's a Suburban, but Z71.
David. Nice sticker. I just read that as I was walking up. I'm like, nice.
I thought it was funny.
Sergeant Clower, Sauk County Sheriff's Office.
I recognize you.
Who are you?
Sarah.
Okay. The reason I'm stopping you got a high mount stop lamp light out in the back. You have brake light on each side. It's the center one. Do you have your driver's license, proof of insurance? Where are we coming from tonight?
Home.
Where's home at? Ironton? Where you live in Ironton now? I haven't.
Right on Main Street.
Didn't even recognize you.
Yeah.
Whereabouts?
Well, do you know the house that burnt on Main Street?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're remodeling it or something? Yeah. Okay.
Now I've got to say something here. I live in an area with a lot of tweakers. A whole lot of tweakers. There is a specific language that tweakers speak. You learn it when you live around a lot of them because you have to kind of be cautious of these individuals. And you'll often, I hate to say they all, and it is possibly an effect of the drug. They all have this kind of rambly way of speaking, almost like they're too impatient to get the words out. And typically they babble on about information that you don't need. Like you'll walk by one and you'll just kind of like see them and they'll nod at you or something and you'll say hi. And then next thing you know, they're, oh yeah, I'm just going over to my friend's house. Oh, go on about your way. Go on about your way. This woman right now, I already see this exhibited in the fact that she immediately like, I mean, yeah, maybe she recognized him, but he didn't seem to recognize her immediately. And she immediately announced who she was as if he was to know her. You know, there seems to be a level of paranoia there. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And it's
and
going to be exhibited further throughout this.
oh
That's
yeah,
why I was. What were you going to say?
tweaking is one explanation. People can also babble just from being nervous.
Oh yeah, I do it.
That I'm a nervous babbler for sure. Or sometimes it's a defense mechanism, which again would go with like if somebody had drugs or something and they're worried about getting caught. The idea is kind of to like if you offer up all this information and you make it look like you're not hiding anything, then like maybe you won't get caught kind of deal. So
Yeah.
people,
That nervousness is in
yeah,
almost there's that level of nervousness in almost all traffic stops, but
oh
the
yeah,
nervousness that I'm talking about it's not necessary. It's almost like an accent. It's that bad. It's that spread across the tweaker community that it's like an accent. Do you get what I'm saying?
hmm
It's just something that if a police officers are around it a lot, if a police
yeah,
officer is paying attention, I believe already at this point he's assuming this lady is high just from the
yeah.
way she's.
I will say cops once they have some experience are generally like bang on at knowing who is less than sober. You know, if you put them in a room with 20 people and 5 of them are not sober, they will find those 5 people.
Yeah, you give them all 3 sentences to read, and
Yeah,
there you
yeah,
go.
yeah.
You could
They'll be able to
definitely
pick them out.
you could definitely pick out the ones that are there.
You're remodeling it? That's yours?
I've been helping. No, it's not mine.
Oh.
I've been helping with it. So
Okay, do you have the registration, proof of insurance as well?
no,
And
And that was
Is it
some of the
insured?
useless
I
information.
think so. I'm not sure.
then what about the registration?
I couldn't tell you.
Whose vehicle is this?
Diamonds in them.
Okay, so this isn't even you. Okay. I'll be right. What are we up to? Where are we headed?
Going to Myers to get some propane.
That would make sense. There's some propane tank right there. Be right back with you.
And of course, you can ask me to stop at any time.
I just gotta run the VIN number. The darn thing's not coming back, so I'm gonna.
Now that would explain the heavy truck tag. If he has the wrong VIN number, the tag
Yeah,
is
then it's
coming
coming
back
back to a
to
different car.
whatever truck the tag belongs to has a different VIN number than what he's getting off of, or than
Yeah.
what the truck is. It probably describes a heavy truck, and this is not one.
No, so we already have like multiple issues because she doesn't have insurance. She doesn't know where the registration is. The tag is belonging to a different car. At this point, if I'm the cop, I'm very sus that this car might be stolen.
I would go less with stolen and just that a person doesn't want to take responsibility for the vehicle, so they're. But yeah, I mean that could bring that level of suspicion. But what I'm seeing, I'm not seeing the type of thing that would bring the suspicion of theft, because the suspicion of theft is. She doesn't look to me like somebody who would be the average driver of a stolen car.
Right,
You
and
know?
I'm not saying it is stolen, but it would be on my list of things as a cop that I would want somebody with proof of ownership of this car before I'm
Right.
letting it go.
Right. Then that would make sense.
It's probably not properly registered. If you can just open
And
the
so
door.
far
so I
in
can
this
take a
cop, now so far I got to point out this cop. He seems to be pretty mellow toned.
Yeah, he's very casual.
Yeah.
picture of the VIN number in the door.
Has that odd Eastern accent, but
Is it everything broken or something?
It's in rough shape.
I'm not trying to hurry to get you on your way. Alright, we'll see what that comes back as. Do you mind just pulling slightly forward so I'm not,
Okay.
my tail end's
Yeah.
kind of out? Thank you. Who'd you say this belonged to?
Dominic Redmond?
Okay, did he buy it from someone else?
Yeah.
And how long ago has that been?
I don't know. I can't give you like an exact date.
Because he never registered, it appears. It comes back to Mark or something? Mark Kruger? Do you know Mark Kruger by chance?
No.
Out of North Freedom?
darn it. I just doxed somebody,
Yeah,
I
it just
guess.
looks like he has never registered, so. But, does that make sense? Would that be Dom for you?
Well, probably.
And that's, you said you don't have any insurance either?
If it's not registered, I would guess.
I would
no.
guess not, yeah. So how's things been going for you?
Good. Better.
You're not hanging around Ken anymore?
No, I do.
Oh, you do?
Now, she doesn't have to answer any of these questions, but I think that these questions are leading. He's informing her that he has suspicion that she's OUI right now.
Yeah, because the people he's mentioning are probably like known users or dealers. So that's why he's saying like, "Hey, are you still hanging around them?" You know,
Right.
She says yes, which she did. Then yeah, she's still using.
And in a moment, she's going to mention that she doesn't want to die anymore. So that definitely leads to that's probably a known drug dealer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we live. I mean, we have a daughter together.
Your
So.
neighbors being here.
Yeah, pretty much. So.
It's that explaining and stumbling
Staying
over
clean?
words.
Yeah, you do a lot better. I don't want to die anymore.
No, really? Well, that's a good reason to stay clean. I mean, ain't worth it, right?
Yeah, speaking of, like, I have to get my daughter to school at 3:20, so I'm kind of.
Trying to hurry.
I'm not even gonna have time to go to Myers now.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to hurry, but when you're driving a vehicle that's not registered, where do you got to pick her up at? Reedsburg?
Weston.
In Weston. Okay.
No, here in Oregon, Portland, Oregon, we would, because the vehicle's not registered, it doesn't seem to be insured. There's been no insurance presented. And the driver has already said no to, do you have your license?
Mm-hmm.
This car would be gone. This car would be immediately on the tow truck. It's not a crime and it's not a citation. It's a administrative rule that you sign when you get your license, that if your license fails, your license lapses or is revoked, and your vehicle is not insured or registered, you already, when you sign that bottom of that line for your license, you've already consented to your vehicle being impounded upon this situation here in Oregon.
Here as well, if you have no license, no registration, no proof of insurance, yeah, you're absolutely you're not only getting the car towed, your license is going to be suspended on the spot.
Yep.
The car is going to be impounded for a length of time.
And most of those are administrative. They're not like citations. They just happen the moment it happens.
There's set fines for those things.
Well, when the vehicle's not registered, I got to jump through hoops trying to figure out what's going on. So, all right, I'll be right back with you. Be Sarah Reed.
Okay.
I've dealt with her prior 961.
Okay, sounds good.
You and your math problems making me think and stuff.
Sarah, can I have you step out for me?
No, this is ridiculous.
yes.
I have to get my
Sarah-
daughter from
Sarah.
school. There's no reason for this.
So the canine indicated on the vehicle.
I guess they walked a canine around the vehicle.
Yeah, I was curious about that too, because I didn't see a dog, and I always want to see a dog.
It is weird that they clipped out the canine section.
Yeah, and I'll also point this out, because every time I have ever seen them run a dog around a car, they always make the person get out of the car. Because they call it like a free air sniff, I've heard. I have no idea what the fuck that means. It sounds like an idiot made up term, but they make the person get out of the car so the dog is, like, I guess, not distracted by the person.
Huh.
Like, I've never seen them
think
run
I've
a
seen
dog
that
around a car with people in it, ever.
Oh yeah, I have. I've seen them run quite a bit. Run the
It's
dog
got to
around
be
the
like a
car.
state-to-state thing, then. It's got to be like just a procedural difference, like state-to-state.
And a lot of times you'll find certain states when they pull over somebody, and it does seem almost not right, but when they pull over somebody who has priors of drug offenses, they often have a police dog already on the way. So by the time the guy's done talking to the person, the police dog, or before the guy is done talking to the person, the police dog shows up.
Clown pulled me over again. And just a reason
Okay.
to come to the canine for no reason.
Okay, step
No,
out of the
I'm
vehicle.
not stepping on the.
You are.
No, as far as no reason, I kind of held off on that because I wasn't sure of your opinion on the no reason. And I was wondering if you had an opinion on that.
Well, he does have a reason to be asking her to get out of the car, because he's saying the dog indicated there are drugs in the car. He therefore is allowed to search the vehicle. So, yeah, she does have to get out of the car. Also, Pennsylvania v. Mims, he doesn't actually need a reason to make her get out of the car.
Uh-oh, your mic went out.
It did?
I heard fan and then nothing.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I was saying, just Pennsylvania v. Mims, he can make her get out of the car for absolutely no reason, which I don't agree with, but it is the law. And he did say the dog indicated there are drugs in the car. Now, here's probably at least one of the reasons I think they make people generally get out of the car, is now the question becomes, are there drugs in the vehicle or are there drugs on her?
Yep.
So that's another reason to make her get out, because you want to separate those two things. And then if the dog is a drug sniffing dog, I would maybe have the dog like sniff her if they're allowed to, and see if it indicates on her person, and then have the dog go around the car again and see if it still indicates on the car.
Right. And well, I'm glad you didn't go the way that I thought you were going to go. I kind of assumed that you may have went the route of, they don't really have probable cause to search the vehicle. And you hear this a lot in the sovereign citizen realm, that
Right.
It's a violation of their Fourth Amendment. And it's not. It's to walk a dog around a car is not a violation of your Fourth Amendment at all. You know?
And I do take issue with sometimes with the use of police dogs, especially drug sniffing dogs, and I definitely have issue with how they are trained.
Yes.
Because I do not like the way they're trained in America. Because it contributes to having like false positives, because the dogs get rewarded just for indicating without anything actually being found. So of course the dog wants a reward, so it's going to, it'll just want a reward, so it'll indicate when there's actually nothing there just to get a treat. Whereas,
I looked that up at one time. The numbers on how many false positives, and this goes on dog hit, cop search car not have nothing. The number of false positives is actually quite low, but I do understand the argumentation, and I have saw with my own eyes the action of a police dog being used wrong. I do understand the argumentation that the dog only does what it's trained to do. So if it's trained to sniff and find, if it's trained to sniff and find drugs, then it will do so. But if it's trained to do a trick for a treat, then that's a different story. And I have a very good example of a guy who won a civil rights lawsuit because the officer tapped on the door of the car, and as soon as the dog wasn't interested at all. The dog walked away from the car initially. The cop had to manually
Yep.
walk the dog around the car, and then eventually 2 little taps on the door, and that dog sat instantly.
Yep,
And he
because
threw
it,
him a great little treat and gave
Yep.
him a little rub, and that was a bad hit. And there are a lot of bad hits, but this situation I don't think is a bad hit at all.
no, given that she obviously has a drug history, she's admitted to being around people that are involved in drugs.
No, I'm not.
Step out of the vehicle.
You, man.
Step out of the vehicle.
You grab me like that. You have no
Step
reason.
out of the vehicle.
You have no reason to search me. You
Step
have no
out
reason
now.
to come. No.
Unbuckle the
I
seat.
will not.
Step out.
No, I have to get my daughter from school.
Step out of the vehicle. I'm
You're
not going
not
to tell
going
you
to
again.
make me. Step out of the vehicle. No, you had no reason to search me. You had no reason to come here with the canine.
And you know another
It's your
thing, you
problem.
constantly hear this. I had to get my kid from school. I can't be arrested. I have to get my kid from school. You
That
should have
drives
thought
me-
about that
Yeah.
before you hopped in a car that had no insurance and no registration. And
Yeah,
you
like
had,
that. Whenever people try to use their kids as like an excuse,
right?
that
I mean,
drives-
I'm sure she does have to get her kids from school,
Yes.
as it's mentioned later, but you got to think about that. You got to process your life, how you're going to get your kids from school, and make sure that you don't get arrested either before getting your kids, after getting your kids, or while you have your kids.
yes.
I mean, at that moment, your kids should be a priority, and you should make sure that you're marking it, you're dotting every I and crossing every T and making sure every P's not a Q.
yes.
I'm dyslexic, so I have that problem.
I'm dyslexic as well.
You. What is wrong with you?
Sarah?
You better stop
Cooperate.
now. Where's Dominic? Where's Dominic?
Annoyer. You just have to
No.
feed her,
There's
that's
no
all.
reason for this.
You're good, man.
No, you're making it worse because you're stupid.
And this is resisting.
Where's
It's
Dominic?
Oh, yeah.
also obstructing. It's also obstructing because and it sounded weird that he said obstructing instead of resisting, but it is obstructing. Right now, she is preventing them from being able to do the search of the vehicle. With her
Yes.
butt in that seat, she's preventing them from being able to perform the duties of the stop, which is, at this point, search the vehicle due to probable cause. It was originally to issue a ticket for a taillight out and possibly a wrong tag.
Yeah.
But then it led off to this car is basically a ghost. It belongs in another county to another person.
Yep.
And then it led to there's now possibly a substance either on you or in the car. She's put herself in the position where she is obstructing. It seems like a weird thing for the cop to say because it's resisting, but she's obstructing. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Can you get that?
Well, I need it right now. Let go of my phone, you piece of shit.
Step on
No, you guys are don't put your hands on me, you pervert. You guys are illegally with me right now. What
Right
reason
now
do-
you're under
no,
arrest for
what
obstructing.
reason?
Step
Did
out.
you have to bring anything
Oh, you got
towards
your
me?
seatbelt?
Huh?
the seatbelt off.
For what reason are you pulling me over anyways?
I've already
Well, the same
explained.
reason you the first time. You
Stop
gotta stop.
resisting and
I'm
just
not.
step out.
And I
Yes, you are.
understand
No, I'm
why
trying
she's
to
resisting.
ask the
She's got
questions.
drug
Yeah,
we were
problems.
talking
That's
outside the
exactly
door.
what I was
Step
going
out.
to say. Yeah.
No, you're not talking.
Yeah,
knows-
she's most certain.
Yeah, she's definitely
ahead.
got drugs on her. This is desperation, is what this is.
Mm-hmm.
Because she knows she's busted. She's going back to jail. She's catching new charges. Probably some. There's also the concern whenever you're like, she got those drugs from someone. She might be taking them to someone, so she may have some fallout like on the streets for getting caught. So she's got a lot to fight for here, and
Yep.
that's what's going on.
And
is-
priors, every time you get a prior, it increases
yes.
your time. So she knows that if she does go, it's not going to be the same as the last time she went.
Exactly. She could be facing like a few months in jail or something like that, depending on what her record is. So yeah, this is just desperation. This is just survival instinct of fight, resist, hold out till the last moment.
try to extend your freedom for a couple more seconds any way that you can. And I hate that. I really do. I mean, just own up to your stuff. I mean, don't just give in and own up, but if there's no other choice at the moment, which there's no other choice. I mean, you can act a fool and end up sitting in jail not feeling well.
Yep.
Or you can sit in jail, of course, not feeling happy, but feeling well.
I think that's actually why a lot of people will initially do what she is doing. And then once they are in cuffs and in the back of the car, they calm all the way down and actually turn into like rational people. Because at that point, there's nothing to fight against anymore. It's already done. You're arrested. You're going to jail. So yeah, without having something to fight against, they calm down and you can actually like talk to them.
Leave me outside my vehicle. Leave me the alone.
I will tase you.
What is your issue?
If you don't step out of the vehicle, I'm going to tase you.
Tase me.
I will tase you in the leg. You do not step out of the vehicle.
I'm not a fan of
Listen to
him.
me. I'm going to tase you.
I'm not a fan of him threatening to tase her. I never like them using a taser to either get somebody into or out of a car. And also, she's wearing very heavy clothes. So I'm
it's not a guaranteed hit with what she's wearing.
Yeah, but also I do not like it as a tactic for getting someone into or out of a car. I don't. I think it's excessive force and unnecessary. There's two of you there. You're really telling me you can't yank one like average sized woman out of a car? Like, if you have to resort to using weapons and, risking, because there is always risk with a taser as well. They call it non-lethal, but that's not always true.
You don't think these officers have tried to yank her out of the car as of yet?
They have.
I mean, they haven't forcefully, they haven't like totally yanked her like you're doing it or else yank, but they've made clear indication that they want the woman out of the vehicle and that they've pulled and prodded, and there's another cop on the other side pushing. I don't know. I mean, there is a pain compliance, and I don't know. Would you recommend? Because there is an argument that if they just yank her out and she bashes her face on the concrete, then that's brutality. There's a huge argument about that.
Yeah,
of course,
well, I didn't say slam her on the ground.
Well, at this moment, I mean, if you yank her out, there's not much of another choice but for her to fall to the ground. She's got her knees tucked up on the steering wheel. She's basically formed herself into this vehicle to where if you pull her out, it's going to be like popping a cork out. Do you get what I'm saying?
I do, but I do think that, again, this is where patience comes in. Like, they can take a minute to try and, like, get her out of the car safer than using a taser.
Well, he does decide to do that instead of using the taser. He just gave the taser as a warning. He said, if you don't get out of the vehicle, I am going to tase you. But I don't see him actually engage his taser. Once.
Yeah, and there's probably times where just making the threat will work.
Me? I'm telling you. God. Just step out of the...
I don't know if it's necessarily a threat or a warning.
I consider it a threat. I mean, you can call it both, but he is saying, do what I say or I'm going to use a weapon against you. The fact that he is allowed to do it doesn't change it for me into not being a threat. You are threatening to harm somebody.
Well, he's threatening to arrest.
You to do it doesn't
he's
make
threatening to arrest her right now.
He actually already told her she's under arrest.
Right. Well, yeah, but that right there is a threat of arrest.
He actually said you are under arrest for obstruction, so she's under arrest right now. But it's always a threat, because even if it's a loud threat, it's a legal threat. It's still a threat,
and that's what makes it a warning. And you're very right on. A threat is not acceptable. Usually, a court would deem that not acceptable. But a warning is an entirely different thing from a threat, I believe, personally.
I think that's making a distinction without a difference.
Not necessarily. So there's a cause and an action. There's a cause and an action. If the person isn't getting out of the vehicle, they have no other way to get them out of the vehicle, and they have been granted through court doctrine that the use of a taser is acceptable to remove them from the vehicle for pain compliance. It's basically like, are you threatening your kid that they're going to burn their hand when they put their hand on the stove? Or are you warning them of a cause of action if they do an action? Or if they, or are you warning? It's a warning. There's a difference. There's a strong difference between a warning and a threat. A warning is a warning of something that can and will happen if the action continues.
Okay.
A threat is something that is more of a, I'm going to do this because.
Okay, well then you just proved my point, because the cop said, "Get out, or I'm going to tase you." So yes, do what I say, or I am going to take action.
Not because he can.
I mean, legally allowed. Yeah, not because he's like, being abusive, but telling a kid not to put their hand on the stove, that is a warning, because you are stopping the kid from doing something that is dangerous. That is not the case here. He's not trying to stop her from doing anything. He's trying to force her to do something, which he's allowed to do. He has the legal right to do this, but he is making a threat because he's saying, do what I say, or I am going to cause you pain. I am going to injure you. I am going to use a weapon against you. Him taking that action, because he's not preventing anything. A warning to me is preventative. This is not preventative. This is making somebody comply through use of force. So
you support physical. You support physical force more than anything. It seems like because the only option left here is physical force.
Yes, but it doesn't have to go to extremes. I think there's a way to pull the two grown cops can get this woman out of the car without tasing her and without slamming her face on the ground. I think they should be capable of doing that, and if they're not, I have questions about the training. Like, my biggest thing with cops is they need better training and they need more training.
I don't know if the human body is easily manipulated as you're trying to make it sound, that they just
I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm saying when you engage a taser, there are risks there that I don't think are warranted in this case. If they thought she had a gun or something like that, then I would be more lenient with using a higher level of force. But this is a traffic stop that has turned into a drug stop. I don't see the need to take the use of force up to that level over something like this. Because again, where's the urgency? What does it matter if they spend another 2 to 3 minutes trying to maneuver her out of the car?
Well, I mean, this isn't the only person in town. Where is the urgency? The urgency could be, well, this is all going on. Something else. Now, I'm not saying it is. And I know that I'm leading to a scenario instead of an actual fact, but it's not like this actually seems, I looked up the drug rating in this town, and it's worse than Ironton, Ohio. So I'm sure this little traffic stop is not the only thing in town that these officers will have to deal with.
Oh, I'm sure there are other things. I'm sure they have other calls waiting for them. But I'm not saying they spend 2 hours and call in a negotiator and try to talk her out. I'm saying they can take a couple of minutes and try to do less force before escalating to. Because again, always in the back of your head, there is a risk with a taser. It could go very wrong. So you have to be willing to say, this situation, my getting her out of the car, is so urgent and so important and so has to be right now that I am willing to potentially, and again, yes, it's extreme and it's rare, but potentially I am willing to end this person's life to force them to get out of the car.
I don't know because I haven't necessarily looked up the exact numbers on how many lives have been lost due to a taser. I know there have been some,
It's
but
rare.
I'll have to look it up. If it's so rare that it's almost non-existent, then that argument's a little mute, wouldn't you say?
No, because if
You
there's a
know,
risk, there is a risk. Even if that risk is 5%, that is 5%. That is not.
oh, I don't
0.
think it'd be anywhere near 5%. I'm sure it would be nowhere near 5%
I don't
of
have
usage.
the numbers either, but
5% of
saying
usage
when
would be hundreds of people dying a year because they use a taser quite a bit.
yeah, which I think they need to use it a lot less.
I think what we're talking about when we're talking about people dying is one or two incidents that were complicated often by. Now I know of one specifically that was complicated by a heart condition,
Yes,
and I
and
know
heard
another that
of
was
those.
complicated by drugs, which there's a big argument over the what's it called? I had a video named it at one time. That basically you get so aggravated on the drugs that your heart
PCP?
no, this is on it can even happen with alcohol. But anyway, I forget what it's called. It's like
Arrhythmia?
no, it's where it's only ever really used in police encounters. I'll have to look it up. I'll talk with you in Discord about it and we'll bring it up on another show.
Okay. And to answer Uncle Artie's bar and grill of stupidity, no, I have never done a ride along. And I know they can't predict someone's health condition, but I'm saying whenever you're escalating force and using a weapon, that comes with risks, and you need to be able to say this situation warranted taking those risks and taking that action. And getting someone into or out of a car, I do not think rises to a level where using a weapon such as a taser or otherwise is an acceptable use of force given that situation and what you are hoping to accomplish. And I'll leave it there as on my speech on tasers so we can move on.
And I think that's directed towards me. Yeah, you can't predict somebody's health condition. I understand that.
Out of the vehicle right now.
What is wrong with you? Stop
Uncle Artie's great. He's a super troll.
I can see that.
resisting! I'm not! You have no reason to f***ing search me, you piece of not your piece of seriously.
To the ground.
You have a f***ing life, man? What is wrong with you?
And that's what happens when they yank him out.
Yes, but they didn't slam her on the ground. They put her down like fairly gently.
Yeah, I would agree,
So,
and I'm actually glad that you
it's okay.
mentioned that because there are a lot of people in the YouTube realm that would be, oh, this is abuse. This is
No, this is not abuse.
yeah.
Okay, put your hand behind your back.
Brutality. You had no reason to wrong with me.
Her mouth sure got lovely. Now she wasn't really cussing a moment ago, man. She's everything but cussing now.
Yeah, but also notice she's not really fighting with them anymore. She's running her mouth, but she is being
Yeah.
more compliant because she's hit that point of, it's the fight is over. You've lost.
Yep.
Peace depends on getting cocaine. You shut up too.
Dude, I can't believe we're already 40 minutes into this.
God,
long ass
You got any weapons or anything on your person?
Of course I did.
But it was worthy. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good conversation to have.
Absolutely.
Alright, up to your feet. Please, cooperate. Hold on a second. Okay.
Oh yeah, please cooperate. Where the f*** was your cooperation in any of this?
Listen there.
Don't touch me.
No, when her
wrong with you?
boyfriend pulls up,
I don't understand.
I can see it,
But
okay?
there's no f***ing reason for
I'm
this.
going
you
to
fighting with us is just
probably
making things
pause
worse.
for a
Oh
second
yeah,
and play a
I'm
little
making it
game
worse, right?
video.
I'm
Okay.
making it worse.
You explained everything.
You know what?
Not to
you.
cooperate, okay?
Oh, yeah.
And there's
Explain,
no
explain
sound
to me,
on the
mister.
drone video.
The reason for the stop,
unfortunately.
the plates, the vehicle's not registered, there's
Yeah, I
no
won't do
insurance.
that.
Okay.
And we were working
But you
through
knew
that.
that, huh?
The canine
We've been
deploy.
following me for a few days. Brake light out, right? Just like
Yeah,
Teddy's
there's
was.
that paranoia. You've been following me for a few days.
Kind of paranoid.
There's that paranoia.
Yeah, and also
And
as for boyfriend, I'm wondering if he's also the source of whatever drugs she's got on her, and he's pissed that she got caught.
Oh yeah, a lot of that seems that way.
Yeah,
A lot
because
of that
maybe she
seemed
was
that
supposed
way.
to be taking those somewhere.
But I do need to find a break, and I don't know what song to play while we take a break. See, I don't smoke in my house because of, I live in an apartment, and an apartment
Right.
has rules. That, and I really don't like my house to stink. I've just, so far over the years, every house that we've smoked in, we've decided to smoke outside.
That's good.
Be right back.
Okay.
And if you need, you can talk over the music. I believe I have your mic set, right? Let's see. Oh, well, you're a little low. I didn't even notice that. I'll pull you up. They gave me a new button.
In a world of filters and lies, truth's reflection slowly dies. Show the real, let it be. Integrity will set you free. In a world of filters and lies, truth's reflection slowly dies. Show the real, let it be. Integrity will set you free. Through the light, the darkest night, integrity, our guiding light. Don't let fate become the norm. Stand tall with heart and soul warm. Drawing hard with victory bold. Your stories are just bought and sold. But when the mask begins to fall, the truth is clear to one and all. In a maze of shadows and deceit, integrity stands tall, won't retreat. Guard your truth, don't lose sight. In the darkest hour, hold tight. Honesty was once the gold, a standard by which stories are told. Yet now we hide behind the screen, a forgotten virtue lost unseen. Let's revive the trust we need, with every word, every deed. Integrity's a rare find, a beacon in the turbulent mind. Integrity is hard to keep when the temptations run so deep. But trust is built on what is true, and trust once lost cannot renew.
Hey, I made it back. I only took a couple puffs.
No, I've got a pup peddling, so I'm good.
Is he gonna hit the mute button?
He already has. Now he's looking at my bag of ducks that I use for book club because he wants to eat one of the ducks so bad.
I didn't say I disagree with her. I was just
You go, puppy.
putting different ideas out. You know what I mean?
Go on your pillow.
not paranoid.
Well, why would I follow you?
No, the ones I disagree with are a couple of days from now.
Yeah, that'll
For
be
a couple
fun.
days. They got better things to do.
Because they're writing street report and penny tuckers. Yes, we
At this point, you're under arrest
I
for
don't give
obstruction.
explain that to my daughter then too.
You have open cases, do you?
No.
Okay.
Sauk County.
I need my phone.
Yeah, I'll get it in a little bit.
Yeah, you'll get it. I'm sure you will. Lion.
While the officers searched the vehicle, a silver truck sped up to the scene.
Dom,
Here's where it gets fun.
yeah. So I'll talk to you up there. Just
Get out of my truck!
pull up ahead of my car.
Don't get out of it! That don't belong to you, it belongs to me! Get out of my truck!
Sir, that doesn't
prove it.
matter. Well, not just that. That doesn't matter. She's been pulled over on a traffic stop on this truck. The dog is indicated on drugs.
Yes.
The vehicle is now being searched. It doesn't matter whose vehicle it is. It can be
No.
anybody's vehicle. It could be President Trump's vehicle. God, I hate saying president before Trump. Anyway, it could be anybody's vehicle. That vehicle is under investigation at this moment. It's technically nobody's for this moment.
Yeah, but the way this guy is so amped up and he's coming in screaming, making demands, you know there's something in that car.
Oh yeah, and you know, I've always believed somebody when they scream at the top of their lungs multiple times that they know the law.
Oh, yeah, right. Again, if I'm the cop here, I'm telling this guy, you are interfering with my investigation. Get your ass across the street on that sidewalk. Come over here again. I'm arresting you.
I'm really surprised that this whole thing is so mellow. It's like,
It
wow,
really-
really?
Yeah, I give these cops a lot of credit for having
A plus
patience.
is. I mean, I don't usually grade cops, but A plus is all the way. I usually
I
don't grade
also-
anybody. I
also get the
usually-
impression the cops are very familiar with these people. So when you've dealt with people like multiple times and you know who they are, you know what they're about, like they probably know this guy is not going to pull out a gun and start shooting at them. He's
Oh
not
yeah,
that
I
guy.
guess he
So-
turns out that he's the regular visitor at the jail.
Exactly. So they're familiar with him. They know how far he will go and how far he will not go. So they're aware of like what level of threat he generally is.
So in other words, they know he's all bark and no bite.
Yes, right. So they know they don't need to go so hard because he's just going to shout a lot but really not do anything.
Get out of my
Up
truck!
there.
Stay the f- out of it! Stay the f- out of it! I mean it! You touch it again, I'll sue you!
Dom, let's just talk up there.
I know the f- law! Close the door now! Give me the f- key to it!
No.
Give me the key to it!
They have the right to search.
Give me the key! No, they don't!
They do.
My truck, Neubauer! Get in! I want to fucking search you now!
Now I will give you that there are some cops that would use these actions, the punching of the bucket, the punching of the
Yeah.
gas canister, as a reason to arrest this person. And I do commend this cop for not being so aggressive, not being so arrest happy.
Yeah, because the guy's just punching his own stuff. If I'm the cop, I don't care. He's not doing anything that's a threat to me. He's just letting off steam and he's not hurting anyone, so I'm fine with it.
And those are little light plastic objects. It didn't really look like he had much punch there either.
Nah.
I want a sergeant here now! I know the law! I know, I'm not!
You can either sit
Leave me alone!
Hold on, guys. Hold
Stay
on.
out of my truck!
never had a problem
Hey.
with you.
Let's get a higher deputy here!
Come on, Dom.
It is kind of weird that he lets
You're
this
not gonna
kid
sit
Okay,
yelling at
walk
us
up
while
and
we're
just
They're
start
gonna be in my
talking
truck!
to.
Yeah,
Ain't
like-
it on your vehicle.
No, they did not!
But I'm glad he
No,
did.
they did not!
Here, we're not arguing. Pull up there. I'll talk to you up there.
Oh, he just indicated that he knew the license plate wasn't right.
I missed it.
And I really don't know if I can go back there without messing it all up.
Flower.
Hold on, guys. Hold
Stay out
on.
of my truck.
Never had a problem
Hey.
with you.
Let's get a higher deputy here.
Come on, Dom. It
No,
won't
it's my
work.
truck.
You're not going to sit
Okay,
and yell at us
but
while we're
You're
trying
not
to
going to be in my truck.
The canine hit on your vehicle.
No, they did not.
Yes, it
No,
did.
they did not.
Here, we're not arguing.
Pull up there. I'll talk to you up there. I'll talk to you
I'll
up
have
there.
you
Okay.
Flowers. I will. Stay out of my truck, and I mean it. Get the
Maybe not. I thought I heard him
I'll have
say
you. You know I'm
something
right.
about the plate, but
You know damn well I'm right. Get out of my truck.
Hey.
Dom,
Dude.
look out.
Yep. Yep.
Can you call dispatch for the DA?
Dog 572 on location.
10572.
I do like how they're handling this situation. This guy is off the hook.
Just talk to me up here.
Copy. We'll try and make contact at the front door.
Sure you do.
10-4 was an accidental
Just because you've been arrested a lot doesn't mean you
Sheriff's
know
not
the law.
going to come.
Well, let's get somebody here other than Flowers, because I know the law, and he can't be in my goddamn truck.
But what
Get him out of my truck.
Now is not the time, okay? If you want to fight this, that you do that in court.
I will.
Okay.
And I'll sue his.
And that's your
Because
right.
he's not, the law states, it's not their vehicle, they're not to touch the property.
Dom.
Unless it's in the investigation of a search.
Yeah.
Yes, I do agree with him that the law does state that the Wisconsin law that if somebody else is pulled over in your vehicle, that the police don't have a right to search your vehicle. They have probable cause to remove the person from the vehicle and search that person.
Okay,
but
that was
not
one of my questions because it's different in the states. Like here, it wouldn't matter if the owner of the car wasn't present. If the police had a
probable
reason.
correction, but that's not entirely true. That's only if no probable cause has been risen on the vehicle.
Yeah.
Once there is probable cause that has risen on the vehicle, then the vehicle becomes searchable. So he's kind of half stating the law. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, because he's just, worried about getting in trouble. But honestly, he would not be in any trouble at this point because he wasn't in the car.
Yeah.
And so whatever they find, he can say, well, she put that in my truck. I didn't know about it because he wasn't even there. So
the only trouble he would be in at this moment is
the registration and the tag.
Yes, he has an immediate civil forfeiture between $200 and $400 for the registration and tag. Seeing that it's both registration and tag, it's an immediate civil forfeiture of $400 once that car gets confiscated, and then he has to pay the impound fees. So he is going to be monetarily affected by this, but and the civil forfeitures are not criminal again. They're you sign up for them when you sign your license. Then a lot of people don't know that there are a lot of agreements you make within your license. That
I always tell people here, read the actual back of your license because I don't have a license, but I used to. And when you read the back of it, it actually, at least here, says right on it that the license is the property of the government of Ontario, and it can be revoked for X number of reasons or under circumstances. So it's remember, you don't own this. This is a privilege, not a right.
Yeah, ours don't necessarily have all that information on the back, I don't believe, but that information is very available. There's a couple of pages of paperwork you sign, and I believe any paperwork you sign or any agreement you sign, you should make sure to read. You know how many people don't read their YouTube agreements or don't read their other app agreements? That's the dumbest thing in the world to do.
You got to bring it down.
Give me your phone.
You got to bring it down.
I know how Clower.
You got to bring it down. I don't want to see you get cuffed, okay? That's why I'm talking to you up here.
Tell him to get the fuck out of my truck.
Now,
I know the law, Neubauer.
You're not going to win it right now.
Well, I beat Meeker on it just last week.
That was Meeker.
Yeah, and then I know the law. He cannot be in my truck. Why is he in my truck?
Because the dog hit him.
Did he get permission? No, the dog didn't hit.
It did.
He did. They in that truck.
Okay.
So tell him to get
How about we just let it go down?
No, because I know how it goes. I'm suing this county. I've had enough of this.
Fine, you can do that, but you're not.
It is kind of weird that the officer is allowing him to have his hand tucked all the way in his overalls.
Yeah, but I'm going to say again, these two are obviously very familiar with each other. Like, he's calling the cop by name.
Yeah.
Reference, like, past interactions together. So I think the cop knows, like, this guy doesn't carry a gun. He's not violent like that. He's just loud. And also, what the cop is doing here is clearly there is somebody searching the truck in the background, because that's what he's yelling about. So this officer is keeping him away from that.
Oh, he's a liaison at the moment.
Yeah.
He's just a stand-in to fill the guy's anger until they finish searching the vehicle.
He's keeping this guy busy while other cops are doing the searching and everything behind them. Yeah.
Not gonna
go to jail for this.
Not gonna win it.
I'm tired
Both
of
sides.
him in my vehicles. I'm tired of him in my... I know the f***ing law about it. I know it.
Dominic, I'm gonna just listen to me.
We don't
If
need you
keep
to go to
pushing
jail,
it,
dude.
If you keep pushing it right now, they're gonna make me put you in cuffs. And I don't want to do that, and I know you don't want that either. Now is not the place to win it. You win it in court,
right?
Okay.
So why don't we just let it be, Dom, and then take it to court?
9124
Look, there's more Reedsburg cops that are coming. I know you don't want to put up with that.
Yeah, let's just let it go, Dom, because they're gonna cuff you.
1045.
I want to know why they're in my fucking truck.
Search it.
The dog.
Bye.
Dogs are here.
Have you interacted with Dominic before?
I have not.
Okay.
I've heard a lot about him, though.
Dominic's a little upset right now.
I can tell.
You rolled up
Got a reputation.
just squealing tires. And
It's like the new guy. Have you heard of him?
Yeah, I heard about him. When other cops are like warning the newbies, like, "Oh, watch out for this guy."
Well, your reputation precedes you, sir.
Yep.
was yelling and screaming. He was up right in front of that car. They were searching. I just pulled him over and gave him a ticket for suspended license. Excuse me.
How much you want to bet that other vehicle wasn't registered or insured?
I was gonna say, yeah, and the cop just said he gave him a ticket like recently for suspended license. So, does this guy even have a license?
Ignorance and Kumar.
I'm Sarah Dunman. I work for you guys at the jail. Oh, sorry, yeah.
That's funny. She's his sister, and she works for the jail. And he goes to jail all the time. I wonder if it's a way to get his sister to cook that good food for him.
That must make for some awkward family dinners.
Right?
His little sister, but yeah, I thought, yeah, I saw him and I was like, oh hell no, because I knew Dom would be a mouther.
I just stopped Dominic up and
I know he's our frequent flyer in the South County Jail. I don't. I'm in the kitchen, so.
Yeah.
All right, Sarah, since you are in custody for obstructing, I do got to read you these Miranda rights forms, okay? If you can just hear me out before I ask you any question, I must advise you of your constitutional rights. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in court of law, used against me. Do you wish to answer some questions I have for you? I can't hear you.
That was an attorney present.
Okay, so I am going to ask you to do field sobriety tests. That's all going to be just observations. It's field sobriety based upon to see if you're safe to be driving a vehicle today. I'm asking for your cooperation. We don't need to have another.
For yours.
Yes, it works two ways.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to attack you if that's what you're asking.
I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Well,
hold on one second. Anything on your person that I missed?
Yep.
What?
Yep.
Where's it at? Whereabouts in your bra?
Well,
Like,
whereabouts?
right, left, where?
Left.
Okay.
No, you can't touch it.
Well, yeah, he doesn't sound like
female. Yeah. The reason I was asking, something didn't look right.
I'm glad you're getting a female officer.
Yeah, he immediately, as soon as she said it was, he asked which breast it was hidden in, and she answered, and then he says, and immediately said, as she was speaking, she didn't have to say it, we need to get a female officer.
Yeah, I'm glad they're doing that, because I'd hate it when, male cops do like more intimate searches on women, and sometimes they'll say like inappropriate things.
Now, if there's absolutely no way to get a female officer there, a basic back of the hand type search is, to me, I don't find, as long as they're not going beneath layers or using. Yes. Of course, they never are supposed to use the palm of the hand, but that's only in a situation where they can't get a female officer on the scene. But in this jail,
yeah, I can agree with that. But yeah, when you're in, like, anytime you're in a police station, there's got to be a female cop around.
Yeah, they better have a female cop somewhere there. Hello, Sirloin.
It's very wrong if your entire force is male. You got a whole other problem.
The way your shirt was sitting.
That's the whole problem, but we're almost done with it.
Okay. I'm trying to talk to you normal. I am talking to you like a normal person. What can I do different to get your cooperation? Okay, well, I understand you're upset with me because I stopped you. I get that part, but past that part, what can I do?
I need to go with my daughter.
Okay.
You just up a lot of
you didn't get everybody over your daughter.
I've explained to you the reason for the traffic stop. And I did come over and indicate. Okay, all right. And that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. If that's what you believe, that's what the court system's for. So I was going to do Fields, but she's got some in her bra, and so if you could just remove that before I take the cuffs off. All right, just relax for a second. Obviously, your hands were behind your back. I'm fine with letting you kind of stretch them out a little bit.
I also think that when she said she had an open container, that was a little strange, because it wasn't alcohol, because that would have poured all over her shirt, and there's no legalized drugs of any sort, medical or non-medical, in the state of Wisconsin. So the use of the terminology open container, does she really think that it's less of a fine if it's in its original packaging?
Maybe.
I mean, that's just kind of a weird way to word it. Open container.
It definitely is. But I like the way the cops are handling this. They're trying to de-escalate it. They're talking to her reasonably. I like that he's like asking her, he's like, I know you're pissed at me for pulling you over and all that, but after that, like, how can I make friends? Yeah, I don't have a problem with this tactic. I wish more cops would use this tactic of, I'm not saying they have to be friends with everybody, but of not being aggressive for the sake of it.
Yeah, like, I just use friends to kind of make it.
Yeah, and the one thing I will say, though, he did ask her to do field sobriety tests, and I didn't hear him tell her that she has the right to refuse. I don't know if they have to state that in every state.
Wait,
but I always like.
What did you just say?
He asked her to do field sobriety tests, and he didn't tell her that she has the right to say no. And I'm not sure if they're required in every state to inform the person that they have the right to refuse. But I always like to hear cops say that, because
you're missing part of that. You're missing part of that. You have a right to refuse. They cannot force you to do field sobriety tests.
Yes.
And they also cannot force you to take a breathalyzer. They can end up getting warrants for such. But again, there's certain things you file when you get your license, and one of them is field sobriety test. Upon arrest. She is under arrest right now.
Yes, she is, but she still doesn't have to do it. And I always feel like when they don't inform the person that they have the right to refuse, that it does feel kind of coercive.
But you're
because
missing part of that. If you're driving in Wisconsin, you've legally
yes, but
agreed to submitting to
again,
chemical and field sobriety tests upon arrest.
yes, but how many
If an
people
officer has
actually know
probable
that?
cause to believe, but then what happens is refusing. See, here's where you're going to cause a problem. You're going to make people immediately start refusing field sobriety test upon being arrested.
Oh, I think people
And
should refuse them because I think they're bullshit. But that's
refusing
not the thing.
refusing this test after arrest is a criminal offense. It results in automatically in this state in Wisconsin an automatic 1 year revocation of your license.
And
It
that's
may require you to have an interlock device on your car afterwards. So instead of just doing the field sobriety test and keeping your license and hopefully not losing your license in court, you're suggesting that they immediately refuse the field sobriety test and lose their license for 1 year. And this is
okay.
not
There's a lot
this
of
is not something that once you lose, this is
there is
listen,
a lot
this is
more
not
to what you're
something
saying.
once you win your case, let's say that you don't have a DUI, you end up going to court and the court ends up dropping your case.
Mhm.
You still have an automatic 1 year license revocation, which you
Which
have to
any
try to
lawyer
figure out how
can
to clear.
which any lawyer can file a motion and get that overturned in a second. Licenses being automatically suspended for field sobriety refusal gets overturned all the time because it is bullshit. It is punishing someone without the crime. And again, even if it does say on the paperwork when you get your license that you are quote unquote required to submit to field sobriety test if you are arrested for a DUI,
But then this is
that
an
does not,
expenditure.
if you
This
still
is an
have the right
expenditure
to refuse, how are those two things not in conflict? You're signing a document that says you'll agree to do it, but also you have the legal right to refuse. And I would like to see a cop tell someone you have the legal right to refuse. However, if you do, your
you'll
license
lose your
may be
license.
suspended for 1
Not
year.
maybe.
So
Not maybe. It's an automatic revocation
I
in
don't think that is
Wisconsin
enforced to that level
if
at all.
you're under arrest. If it's prior to an arrest, you can refuse all you want. But once you've been arrested, it's an automatic revocation. It goes through the DMV. It's not through the police department. It's
Yes,
not
but
through the
as I
judge.
said, again, if you do not, because field sobriety tests and breathalyzers, again, this is a bigger issue that we really should get into with some detail another time, but my 2 cents, field sobriety tests and breathalyzers exist only to give evidence against yourself. So if you refuse them, odds are you
Everything the cop.
can beat a DUI. And if you beat the DUI, then it is very simple to undo the automatic suspension of your license.
Not exactly simple.
I think it is. And I have watched videos from actual lawyers in the States explaining why field sobriety tests are bullshit, why you should always refuse them, and that the automatic license suspension can easily be made to go away.
Will easily be made, but what you're creating, though, is a loss of money for somebody who follows your advice. And why do I say a loss of money? Do you think a lawyer is just going to, for free,
No, I don't think
remove
it's
this
for free.
revocation? So why are you asking people to waste their money when they could have just simply
You're
taken a
wasting a
field
lot more
sobriety
money
test?
if you're getting charged with a DUI, which will probably result in you losing your license anyway. Now you have court
Not
costs. You're going to have legal costs anyway. You could wind up going to jail and not being able to work for God knows how long. So that's a much bigger loss of money.
So do you think that the cop doesn't have probable cause without the field sobriety test?
No, because probable cause is different than proof. When he's asking somebody to do a field sobriety test, he's trying to get proof on camera. That's what he's doing. He can have probable cause by saying, I smelled alcohol on your breath, or I saw an open bottle in the car. That's probable cause. And he can ask her to do the test, but I think, as I said, he should be required to tell her that she has the right to refuse and what the consequences of that are. But you need to make it clear to people what their rights are, especially for somebody who may be in an altered state and not thinking so clearly right now.
They only need evidence of, and right now she has drug possession, which is evidence
Yes.
of. So refusing the drugs, to refusing the field sobriety test that she's going to pass because she's not impaired by alcohol.
Yeah, they're also designed
would be
for alcohol,
ridiculous.
not drugs.
It would be ridiculous to refuse this field sobriety test because she's
I
going
don't
to
think it would
pass it not being drunk.
I
She's
don't
going to
think it would
pass
be
it.
ridiculous.
it would be an unnecessary burden that you're putting upon yourself.
I disagree, but we can leave it at that.
Okay.
Let some blood flow again. Can have you stand on your feet together, heels and toes, just like this. Arms down at your sides. You see the green light over? Why is that pissing you off? It's literally a...
It's going to be a sobriety
It
test,
is.
for real.
It'll all be documented. Ask your attorney in the future when you...
I've seen sobriety tests where they have to do it side to side.
Okay.
But not...
Yep, that's 9 heels.
Now the I'm a stagnation test or whatever it's called, stagnation or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
That test is actually used for narcotics. That's the one that they could actually find the narcotic usage, because the I'm a stagnation or whatever it's called is much more. I'll have to look up the word because I'm saying it wrong. It deadens any peripheral movement or a lot of peripheral movement. Now with alcohol, you get the bouncy eye up and down movement. So there's multiple things that they're looking with that test. And if you have a deadened field, that's typically narcotics. Like you can't look all the way left, or you can't look all the way right, or all the way up, or all the way down. And it's degrees of motion of average vision is what they go by. And yes, I understand it's all kind of speculative.
It's not kind of speculative. It's purely subjective.
Yes, I would agree.
That is my problem with all these tests. They are purely subjective. There is no quantifiable pass or fail. The results are whatever the hell the cop says it is, and that's not okay.
On that, I would absolutely refuse jumping the hoops and hurdles and all the bounds and all that, and I would demand chemical testing of some sort.
Yes, that is actual science. If they were, like, they have drug test kits where they scrape your tongue, they can do them on the side of the road. They've been using them in Europe and Australia for like a decade. Why this half of the world can't get with the technology? Because that is actual science.
Yep.
This is bullshit.
Yeah, I would at this point just... I mean, now that I agree with, because she's under arrest, and I don't think that she should burden herself with losing her license and having to go to court and get it back, and maybe not being able to get it back, and maybe having an interlock device. I would agree with saying, look, man, I'm not doing your clown show.
Mm-hmm.
Get out your breathalyzer.
Yep.
I'll even submit a blood test. Well, and that's because I'm not going to be doing this type of junk. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be being stopped for drunk driving. It's not, I have a scooter to begin with, and I'm not going to be hopping on that drunk, because I can get a ticket on that just as much as I can a car. I can get killed on that just as much as I can a car. So there's no way I'm going to be in it drunk, and I don't do any of those freaky. So I don't have to worry about it. I would be absolutely confident. So confident, in fact, I think at the stop I would tell the cop, no, I think I'm not playing your little clown show game here. I'm not going to jump through your hoops or dance on the little burning skillet for you. Instead, I am going to ask you to give me a breathalyzer test.
Yeah.
The toe steps. 1, 2, 3, except you're going to go to 9. This being your 9.
And that's actually a good explanation for following your advice. If I follow your advice and I don't provide it, and they revoke my license, or I end up with automatic forfeitures, why would I have brought this upon myself if I know I'm not drunk and I know I'm going to pass this test?
Okay, but that's the thing. You're assuming these tests are fair, basically, and I'm saying they're not. I'm saying they are completely biased, and you can be... I've seen multiple videos of people who were stone cold sober, do these tests, and according to the cop, utterly fail and get arrested for DUI when they were, in fact, stone cold sober. I've also seen videos of training academy, police actual training academy, where the cadets are put through these tests and they're completely sober, and guess what? A lot of them fail. Like, there's so many videos of completely sober people who cannot do these tests because they are a joke.
And
They are
and these
designed to be failed. That is
and
the
these
point.
these stops went without breathalyzer tests at all.
They did some of them eventually got to a breathalyzer or to a blood test, and that's what proved that the person was in fact completely sober. But a cop said on video and said while they were arresting him, "Oh, you failed this test. You didn't hold your foot exactly 6 inches. You moved your hand while it was by your side." It's little petty stupid crap.
Right, because most departments are required to not only have the field sobriety test, but also chemical testing to back up their claim. And
Yes, but that's why I'm saying you don't give them the first part, because again, they're going to look a cop's going to look at anyone doing field sobriety tests. They can say that you failed, and there's no way to challenge it because, again, there is no definitive pass-fail. So the result
there is once they get to the chemical. There is once they get to the chemical testing.
The chemical test is, that's why those are two different things, though. And I'm not doing your bullshit clown show. Like you said, just give me the breathalyzer. That is fucking science. I will take that. That's a real answer. I'm not.
I mean, if you're going to say give me the
garbage.
breathalyzer, then you wouldn't have failed the test because you didn't do the test.
Yeah, but that's why I'm saying just never do the test, because either you're going to pass it, which again, I've rarely seen anybody pass, because again, once a cop has decided that they think you're impaired, that's the end of it. Like, you're not getting out of it. They're going to arrest you for being impaired, whether you do this shit or not. They've already made up their mind. So you're done. So just don't make it worse by giving them a video of you maybe not doing so well on these tests, even if you're sober. Maybe you have a balance problem or whatever, that they're then going to point to in court and say, well, even though the blood test didn't show alcohol or whatever, that was 4 hours later because I had to wait at the hospital. So I have this video that's proof of this person failing because I said so.
Most states have a requirement for the breathalyzer test. That's what I'm trying to explain. You won't make it to court because by the time you hit the breathalyzer, which should be a couple hours after you had your drink, by the time you hit the breathalyzer and have a 0 breath, they have to release you. They just can't continue taking you because you didn't jump the hoops right, but you passed the breathalyzer.
That's what they're supposed to do.
No, they can't. They really can't. They can't. The court's not going to have. Their court isn't even going to have you show up if you pass the breathalyzer test. There is a requirement for them to give you a breathalyzer
go to
test.
court, even though they passed the breathalyzer, because they were still arrested for DUI and charged with it, even though they blew double zeros. It was I forget where, but it was a couple years ago. It was a teenage boy got pulled over, and cop went completely off the reservation, accused him of being drunk, and then when he obviously wasn't drunk and he blew double zeros, then accused him of being high and wound up arresting him for DUI anyway. And that kid had to go to court and fight it because the cop would not drop the charges even though he blew double zeros and he was showing no signs of impairment. That kid still had to go to court. He still had that hanging over him for months before it was eventually dropped. So, I'm sorry, but the system is not perfect. It doesn't always do what it is supposed to do. And things like that do happen.
I know asking you to find that video is like next to impossible.
I can find it.
That's what happens.
I can definitely find it.
Okay, I was just going to say that it didn't concern me, but I would like to see it if you could find it. You know what I mean?
I'll drop it
It's
to you
not
in
a
Discord.
super concern though.
No, I will drop it to you in Discord because I'm sure I can find it.
Because that might be a good video to cover, even though it's old.
Yep.
You know, sometimes covering old videos is good.
Yeah.
Keep it planted, take a series of small steps, turn yourself around and go back 9 more heel to toe steps. 1, 2, again whenever you're ready.
Like I'm saying, this is a use
When's the last time you used?
and she did 10 steps.
Okay.
Better go get my coffee.
So do you normally drive the vehicle or does someone else normally pick the kids up?
Well, for picking them up, Jalen is in basketball, so I pick her up every practice.
And she goes to Weston?
Yeah.
And I'm being serious. Do we need to call someone or is Kenneth taking care of it?
I'm going to assume kind of.
Yeah, I would assume too. Otherwise, Weston probably would have called us. Has anyone not picked up the kids ever?
Weston called you.
What's that? Well, they would call us if a parent didn't show up and they couldn't get a hold of a parent, is what I'm getting at.
She was charged with operating a vehicle while under the influence, operating a vehicle without insurance, non-registration of an auto, possession of,
made it back for the
resist
laundry
or
list.
obstruct an officer, possession of, and bail jumping. But
Ooh,
she
bail
remains
jumping's
innocent
gonna be-
until proven guilty.
Yeah, she'll probably be spending some time.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you are on parole or you're on bail and you get arrested again, courts do not like that. You are probably sitting in a cell for a while.
So all in all, I thought this was a pretty good stop.
I will say the only other one that I have questions of is her being charged with the vehicle not being registered because it is not her car. She doesn't own it. So wouldn't that charge go to the owner?
Actually, no,
Or can
because
they
he
do both?
wasn't driving. He wasn't driving an unregistered vehicle. She was.
Okay,
He
so
owned
it's
an
specifically-
unregistered vehicle. She was driving the unregistered vehicle, and it doesn't
Okay, so
require you to have a license. So you can
depends on
get,
like the wording of the charge
you can actually get tickets on your permanent driving record without
without
ever
having a license. That actually happened in an episode of Big Bang Theory. It was funny. Yes, somebody who did not yet have a license wound up getting points and a ticket on a license they didn't have.
So I think this was a wonderfully fun interaction.
Absolutely, I
Do
had a
you
good
have
time.
any? Do you have any last words? Last words.
Check out my book club Saturday nights on this channel.
As always, you guys are awesome. Thank you for hanging out.
Mhm.
Remember, you don't have to be wise. Just don't submit to stupid. Thank you very much, and have a good day.
Bye, everyone.
Penguins.
It puts the lotion in its skin.
Sky, it's penguins flying high, always loving life, wondering how the ground things have survived, never seen life. Down below me, the ground things pound their feet, down there on the street, things without feet.
I wonder how long this song is. Maybe I can put it to my new drone video.
Fills my dreams when I sleep.
I got some urban jungle parking lot, empty or abandoned parking lot drone video.
Nice.
That's why you will find me up there with the birds that have wings. Up there I can see things not seen by ground things. Up there in the sky, there's penguins
I think I'll call it the urban jungle. Or urban jungle. Yeah,
Does your drone have a penguin sticker on it? Or doesn't it?
no, I need a penguin sticker, I guess.
Yes.
I need to get some CX stickers. That would be cool. Just like, if I got them, I'd probably give them to y'all. Just have you send me.
The brown things scurry by, pounding their feet while I touch the sky, sliding, gliding, without a care. They'll never know.
Few of my viewers got free hats. Dr. Nimrod has one of the very few free hats out there on the roll.
Questions why, I wonder how the brown things carry on, never experiencing the beauty I adore. Whoa, whoa. I can fly.
Okay, penguins.
Dit is mijn pinguïn. Acht! Dat! Dit is mijn pinguïn. Goed! Dit is mijn pinguïn voor rotsaftrag. Vooruit! Mars!